Fragments of Silicon, hand-delivered to you every week.
Welcome, one and all, to another installment of Fragments of Silicon. I'm your host, Adam. Joining me, as always, are Galax and Petty Fan. Right, let's get to the news, such as it is, such as it can be. Let's see, Petty, why don't you start us off this week?
Alrighty. Well, it's been overall a fairly quiet week. Yesterday I did end up finally picking up another Xbox 360. And originally it did have a problem where the previous owner put a, child lock on it that apparently those get saved to the console itself and not the profile. But
And you'd have to have access to the profile to uninstall it or whatever?
I know you'd need to know the code or register it on Microsoft, but they quit allowing that because 360 be old.
Right.
So luckily I was able to brute force it and have it set to something really simple, which is XXXX. So theoretically it shouldn't be a problem anymore, but it is set to something easy in case it ever is. So yeah, that was fun. There's also a bit of an issue where the disk drive was kind of sticking. But since I got it open and moving, I think it might have just been some dust in there that probably hasn't been used in a while, and once it started moving, it started working a lot better. So, hooray for fixing old technology. And Sunday was the pre-release event for the new Digimon set, and that was fun.
Yeah, they had one here yesterday, but I couldn't go.
Yeah. Some of the pre-release cards they got are actually worth a little bit of money, so I'm debating if I want to trade them or just keep them in my binder. Something to think about. And yeah, other than that, not a whole lot's been really going on.
Okay. Well, Galax, it's your turn.
Nothing interesting going on with work this week. We have confirmed that sometime in the next couple of months, my grandmother is going to come and live with us.
On a temporary basis, or
just probably permanent. She's 93, so just to have someone to take care of her more than, because where she is right now, she's actually in a pretty good community, but she has an upstairs apartment. And she's getting to the point where she's having some trouble with the stairs, and also she doesn't feel like she can move more than once again, pretty much.
I'm like, it's impressive she can move at all in both senses of the word at 93.
I mean, she's in pretty good health, all things considered, aside from being very hard of hearing.
Once again, 93. So.
Right. And she's been hard of hearing since she was in her, 70s. Or 60s, I guess. Since I was born. Before then.
And when's this supposed to take place?
Like I said, we don't know exactly, but sometime in the next couple months.
Well, good luck with that.
Other than that, not a whole lot. I've been continuing to play Super Robot Wars 30, and I've actually gotten around to putting in some time on Legends Arceus, so that's been fun.
Indeed. Guess it's my news. Well, I suppose the big news is, and I mentioned this on Sunday, my laptop is back from the repair shop. So, thankfully, they didn't have to wipe the system this time. Like, as far as what was the issue, I'll admit I wasn't ever going to nail this down because so what had happened was not the audio driver itself, but apparently the folder it was in got corrupted.
Oh, that's a new one.
Yeah, I'm like, that kind of stunned me too. I'm like, I'm not exactly sure how Windows Update did that, but or if it was something else. But anyway, that's why it took so long to fix. Because yeah, that's not a problem that comes up a lot. You know, clearly enough where the repairman knew what to do, thankfully. But you know, unfortunately, since I don't know how that happened, I don't know how to stop it from happening again. You know what I mean? Like, but you know, thankfully everything's fixed, and once again, like Windows didn't have to be wiped and restored, so I didn't have to spend that weekend re-downloading my Steam library, which is never a fun thing, because I have a very big Steam library, and even downloading like a quarter of that takes a long time. Anyway, I'm trying to think of anything. Right. So, in case you missed it, MSP did indeed launch successfully last week, and you know that is running on all cylinders, which is good. Now, was a bit concerned because you know it's been a while since Mac was, you know, doing an interview show. One exception noted, but everything went fine. Though I suppose the real test on that is how we handle new guests. I mean, you know, Linkara and Chuck, they're friends, I'd say. So there's a comfort level that you know you don't get with newcomers. And yeah, I suppose that's all the news that's fit to print this week. So, merrily, we shall roll along to the interview portion of the broadcast. And joining us once again is John Pickett of MangaGamer.
Hello, it's good to be back.
Indeed, always good to have you. Right, so we've got a number of titles to cover this week. I suppose we should start with the game that is on display here. Trinoline. Is it Trinoline or a Trinoline?
I believe it's Trinoline.
Okay. So Trinoline Genesis.
Yes.
Which is
kind of a fan disc, kind of a sequel to the original Trinoline. So, like I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to people who haven't already played Trinoline, but for those who have, it adds new stories for each of the original heroines, and it adds two routes for two new heroines, Ayaka and Hanako.
All right. I mean, I played a few hours of it to get a sense of how it played and all that, and it gave me a lot of Clanad After vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, that may be a deep cut here, but we are talking about visual novels, and honestly, Clanad is probably the bigger name here.
No, I mean that makes sense to me, and that's kind of how that setup, like you're talking about with Clanad After, is pretty typical for fan disc sequels.
Mm-hmm. I'm like, Though it is a bit unusual that it's called Genesis, even though it's like a side story sequel thing.
It's, I mean, well, when you consider like the story of the original, I think it fits with the.
Well, it's more
over our series as a whole.
Well, it's more for those people who don't have the context. Why is it called Genesis?
I mean, the original you have obviously you have the creation of the one android, and the original, you have the character that she was based on. So, in the original game, you are kind of dealing with this, the birth of the genesis of sentient robots, and so it's just a fitting subtitle for the continuation of the series.
Okay. And I'm like, I'm not exactly sure how this works canonically, if it is canonical at all, or is this just because you mentioned it's a fan sequel?
So I guess maybe it needs some explanation. Like, when people use the term fan disc in relation to visual novels, usually what they're referring to are these kinds of follow-ups and sequels that are put out by the company who developed the original game to provide more content for the fans of the original work. So that's why you have, like I said, you have the new stories, the new arcs that for the main three heroines from the original. These are basically, each of those arcs follows the original ending of that character's route in the original game, adds more content, lets fans of the series experience more interactions and more story with the characters from the original. And, with the two new routes, it takes the two of the sub-heroines that fans very much, at least fans in Japan very much, are very, highly appreciated, the Hanako and Ayaka, and gives them more of a full character route that, kind of a what if that could have taken place in the original series that they just didn't have, maybe they didn't have the budget for or whatever.
All right, so Ayaka and Hanako's stories start out like if they had hooked up with the main hero. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long is a given route here? Is this a short jaunt, or is it something comparable to like the length of the original game?
I would say the new routes are going to be comparable to the individual character routes in the original game. The bonus stories are going to be much shorter additions.
Okay, I mean that makes sense, given that this is a sequel disc.
Yeah.
And how safe for work is this title?
I mean, it's on Steam, but there's plenty of adult scenes in it. I would say, like, it's not something, it's not what you would call a Nuki gay. It's not a game where the sex is the focus. The stories and the characters are the focus. But I'd say you're probably a little bit more likely to see adult scenes in this fan disc than you were in, say, the original. But that's only, like, slightly more.
I mean, I suppose once again that goes in line with the idea of a fan disc.
Yeah, exactly.
Specifically, a fan. That's definitely fan service of a different kind. Perhaps not. Like. Anyway, it is kind of hard to talk about this title since it is connected to Trinaline, the original Trinaline.
Yeah.
Otherwise, but it is good to get some details about game out there. But yeah, it's like this is definitely not this is something you would purchase either alongside or after the original Trinaline.
Yeah, exactly.
because I think we covered the original on this show at some point. Like, we've covered a lot of your visual novels, and sometimes they run together.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did Finland, the original one.
Yeah, it's just
the original was released like 3 years ago.
So. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, lost all context for what was going on here. Like, ooh. So it was kind of hard to follow, or rather get emotionally invested since,
Yeah.
Just putting that warning up front. Anyway, so moving on, we've got, I believe you mentioned this was your most recent release, and that is Aerovoice.
Yes. We released that on the 24th of February. This is, for those who are not familiar, this is one of ClockUp's probably the most recent edition in their sort of Aero X series. The first one that we released here at MangaGamer would have been Aero Gay. And so, like the original Aero Gay, which focused on a company that makes these Aero games, these erotic games, Aerovoice focuses on characters in the voice acting industry, specifically voice actresses for these erotic games. But they also do. It talks about in the game that they do voice work for other products like erotic drama CDs and erotic anime.
I'm like, this feels very metatextual, and yet at the same time, a very specific fetish.
What is that?
I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's coming from Adam.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Hang on.
Sorry.
How's this?
Much better. That seems to have fixed it.
Okay. Sorry, my phone got too close to my microphone. Anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, voice acting is obviously a lot of people that play these games enjoy the voice acting, and for many people it's kind of half the point of, hearing the voices, hearing all the moans, the sexy lines, hearing the audio dramas. And ClockUp is very invested in their adult content, and so they did get a wide variety of voice actresses to fill the different roles. Like they actually have a couple of sort of more rookie voice actresses to handle the one character who is actually supposed to be a new erotic voice actress. And they did hire a very professional veteran in the business to handle the voice actress who is veteran herself in game.
Once again, that's very meta.
That's one of the fun parts about the Aero series, is it is obviously this is a series that focuses more on the erotic content period, but like story-wise, it always has that kind of tongue-in-cheek humor and poking fun at the industry around these games. So you do get to see, as you play through, some of the jokes and mishaps that can happen in recording. There's a couple scenes where they talk about literally using entire duffel bags to carry the game scripts for these games to the voice actresses because of how much they weigh after you actually try and print out one of these scripts on paper.
I believe it. Given how much text is crammed in a visual novel, keep in mind we're talking about Japanese. They'd probably need a forklift if they did it in English.
Yeah.
Anyway, so are the characters here in Aerovoice, are they all new? Are there any transplants from any of the previous games?
So all of the main heroines in Aerovoice are completely new to this game. There is one sub-heroine, Lemon, who was actually one of the sub-heroines in the first one of the series, Aerovoice. In that game, she played as a voice actress, and in this game, again, she shows up again as sort of a rival to one of the main heroines. And depending on the choices you make, you can kind of end up on a sub-route with her, which has about 4 different H scenes.
All right. And I suppose that beckons another question. Who is the you that you play in this game?
So trying to remember his name. It's been a while since I actually worked on this damn. Sorry. But the main character is he's someone who's fresh out of college, and he very much has an audio fetish of his own. Very much is big into voice actresses, voice acting, and audio quality, and kind of like in the original Aerovoice, he applies for a job and happens to find this one studio that's hiring. And it turns out that, it has like 2 of the voice actresses listed that work for it, happen to be 2 that he is major big fans of.
That's convenient.
Yep.
And how many heroines are there in this title?
So there are 4 main heroines and 4 sub-heroines. Each of the main heroines, during their full route, you'll have probably about 16 or so, somewhere between 12 to 16 different H scenes with. And then, sorry, I said 4 sub-heroines. I meant 5. There's 5 sub-heroines. And with each of the sub-heroines, you'll have about 4 H scenes with.
And is that the thing that designates a main heroine versus a sub-heroine?
So in the game Aerovoice, the way the sort of gameplay structure is set up is at like the start of the game, you go through and you choose like which member of the staff that you choose to sort of stick to, guide, and help with their work, whether it's the new voice actress, the veteran, the sound engineer, your fellow manager, and assuming you choose the same person for each of those like initial 4 choice segments, then you end up on that heroine's route. And after you start on that route, about halfway through, give or take, each heroine's route, there's sort of a major turning point where you get another decision, and the choice you take there determines whether or not you stick with the heroine that you have been following, or if you branch off and end up with one of the sub-heroines instead.
Okay, and in terms of the routes and the end goals here, is it all just, fucking, or is there an actual romance to be found here?
There is a romance. Each character does have character development and character arcs, so it's not all sex. I'd say it's a good solid 60, maybe 70% sex.
Like, honestly surprised you didn't go with 69 there. Anyway, somebody had to make the joke.
Nice.
Yes. Anyway, it sounds like there's a lot of content here.
There definitely is.
Yeah. And what about your protagonist? Is he an actual character? Does he speak? Does he have a... Well, I guess he does have a name.
He does have a name. I just don't remember it off at the moment. But he does not have a voice himself.
So it's not important.
Yeah.
You're mostly supposed to self-insert.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's about what I was expecting. Some visual novels actually do have male protagonists who are characters. very rarely voiced though. Like if you get a voicemail character, it's probably a BL title if I'm being honest. Like, anyway, and is this one on Steam or is it just MangaGamer only?
Aerovoice is MangaGamer only.
Not surprised at that.
Yeah, we did try, but Steam didn't like one of the characters.
Yeah. That once again, that's not a surprise at this point.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I guess we should shift focus to a couple of titles that are upcoming this month, I believe, or also just recently came out, like Even Kyle 2, Evan Kyle. How do you pronounce that?
Evenical, so I think.
It's
Evenical.
Eve Nickel. It's Eve Nickel because it's short. It's Eve Nickel because it's short for the. It's a portmanteau for the Chronicle of Eve. Eve being the goddess of the world that it's set in, and then Chronicle.
So a bad portmanteau then. I mean, okay, I'll rephrase that. A bad portmanteau in English. I'm sure it made sense in Japanese or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. Portmanteaus aren't supposed to flip things like that. Like, but anyway, so what is Evenical 2?
So Evenical 2 is the it is this, I want to say it's a sequel to the original. It obviously takes place in the same world as the original Eve Nickel, but it features an entirely new cast of heroines. There is, the hero syndrome, a mysterious power that causes humans to catch random diseases with every skill they use in combat, is plaguing the world. And so the main character, who is a doctor with a special healing skill, is going around trying to cure everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
Does he have to repopulate the world?
No, but you're on the right idea for how he cures people.
Oh no.
Right. Same basic idea, if you will, just kind of the details. I'm trying to remember what that isekai is called. Like that's airing this season.
World End Harem or something like that.
That's the one. That's what this has been reminding me of. Like, only it can actually show the porn.
Yeah.
Seriously. Don't watch that show for the fan service. At least not the one that's on Crunchyroll. Because
it's terrible.
I'm like, it's got some unique editing going on there.
Do they do the thing where they just like make half the screen black?
Yeah, but it's like ripping
someone
the
wants
screen
to sell
apart.
Blu-rays.
Well, I just have flashbacks to this from when I was watching friggin' Zero no Tsukaima, unironically for this setting rather than the fan service. And some of the scenes in some of the later seasons were just like, okay, did the room just get really dark, or no wait, they're just censoring shit badly.
Not like that. It's done badly in a different way. It's like the fucking Digiverse is exploding on your screen to cover the naughty bits.
Aha.
It's hard to explain if you don't see the picture, but it's kind of off topic. Anyway, getting back to the game here, is this another visual novel? It looks like a strategy game.
It is a full-on JRPG.
Okay. Like strategy, or just like a party-based JRPG?
Party-based. There's turn-based mechanics. You use your skills as you fight monsters. And there's a world map to travel and explore.
Yeah.
There's boss monsters. There's secret bosses.
There is everything that you would expect from a JRPG, let's say.
Yes.
Okay. And I guess the final title to highlight this session is Ultra C. Ultra C. There's 3 U's here.
Yeah, the katakana for it suggests Ultra C. Like it's just gonna drag out the.
But
U
that
in
is how they say
ultra.
ultra in Japanese.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this is a very interesting and unique sort of title. It's by A Delta, which is the same creators of Hashihime of Old Booktown. And so this is it is a BL game set in sort of the golden age of cinema, and it draws a lot on the like kaiju and tokusatsu aesthetic and stories that are sort of classical, especially within that period of Japan. And the superheroes that fight them. And
so we're talking like the 1950s here?
70s.
70s.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Like, I mean, I'm not exactly sure what the golden age of Japanese cinema is. Like, and is this like film tokusatsu, or is it more, say, Ultraman?
Wait, what?
I mean,
a series, if you will.
Okay. Oh, okay. So like kaiju movie versus
television series.
Okay.
So I mean, it's obviously drawing from both of those because they're very much related and very much a part of this sort of era. In the actual story, in the game, basically kaiju have become real and is actually sort of an infectious disease. So this disease can spread from person to person, turning them into these kaiju that the heroes have to stop and defeat to prevent destruction from the towns. And so the game follows basically 3 different main couples and main stories within the world that is developing here. One is you have a man who is very much in love with one of these champions of justice, and it deals with sort of the relationship stress and drama of trying to support someone who is fighting these quote unquote evil creatures. You have one who has been one couple that follows a couple where one of the men has been infected by the disease that causes these kaiju and becomes sort of a kaiju himself, and sort of dealing with that new societal push to try and for kaiju rights, basically. And the other couple is a bit more complicated, and you see that one later in the story. So
complicated?
Yes, I don't want to go into too much detail, but needless to say, yeah, their relationship and situation is even more complicated than the other 2.
I'm like, sounds very dramatic.
Yes.
And is this whole premise supposed to be the real world of this, or is this like a show within the show, if you will?
This is the real world within the game.
Okay. So it's not just like they're on a tokusatsu show or anything like that.
Right. It's the Japan as they know it had this has happened to Japan. The real Japan has sort of become this tokusatsu, this world of tokusatsu and kaiju.
Right. And when one becomes a kaiju, is there any sort of cure? Or are they just kind of stuck being, Gojira?
So it very much plays it draws into that idea of like the transforming heroes and the transforming monsters. So there is some of that. I believe with the kaiju, it's not like obviously the heroes can kind of control when they do their superhero transformation. I believe with the kaiju, it's a little less voluntary, but it's more. I mean, and so that's kind of the thing. Like you do have these normal people that are being affected by it. So obviously, that's part of like the whole movement of like you have these people that are pushing for kaiju rights. They're trying to like have these people who have been turned into kaiju by this disease get not be ostracized and treated poorly by society, and who want to have people looking for and developing a cure.
Sounds perfectly non-political.
Yeah.
Anyway, and is it like a pure visual novel, or do you get to like fight the monsters and sort of, think Ultraman on the SNES?
It is it's more visual novel. Obviously, you do make choices throughout the game, and that will determine how the story goes. But you're not really like whipping out a controller and defeating bosses.
Which is probably for the best, because that game was awful. Ultraman on the Super NES, that is. Like, anyway, so I think that's about it for titles I see. Is there anything else upcoming that you want to mention at this point in time?
I will say we will be probably releasing somewhat soon the what it's called Seventh Layer, which was created by the creators of Fata Morgana. Seventh Layer is sort of a tongue-in-cheek tale about indie game development that they had originally released on April Fools. So, I'm not going to go into specific dates yet, but you can probably expect to see that from us soon.
Okay. All right. And anything convention-wise you wish to announce at this point?
I believe our next conventions we will be at Anime Expo and Otakon this year. We will also be returning for Anime New York in November. And I believe we had, I think ASEN, I believe we were going to. Yeah. I want to say we're doing ASEN, assuming that is still on track. But we will definitely be there for Anime Expo. We will definitely be there for Otakon this summer.
Sounds like you're getting back to normal.
Yeah. Yeah, the main change is just we don't have anyone in Maine anymore, so we're not doing Anime Boston at the moment.
You had people in Maine?
We did.
What about PortCon, Maine, huh?
I've never heard of that.
I mean,
that's the only con I've ever been to. It's in Maine.
Yeah, that's the con in Portland, Maine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Galax here lives in Maine, so
yeah, that's why I was asking.
Okay. Well, then, you should have seen. Well, you should have gone to Anime Boston then. You would have seen us there.
I've considered it, and once shit stops being plague infested, it's still on my maybe list, but it's even bigger. I mean, it's not the biggest con, but it's big, and I'm not good with lots of people. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, I think that's about it for this session, John. As usual, it was good having you on the program, and good hearing about your latest releases and releases upcoming. Let's see. I suppose we could have you back May 25th.
That sounds good.
All right. So as always, if you wish to purchase any of the titles we mentioned here, be sure to either go to Steam or the MangaGamer website. In this case, more the MangaGamer website. I think all except for Trinaline Genesis here are MangaGamer exclusives.
Yes. The Trinaline Genesis is the only one. Actually, Ultra C is on Steam as well. Trinaline Genesis and Ultra C will be on Steam. We do have the adult version. The Ultra C is on Steam, fully adult. So, you have to do the usual, adjust your settings if you want to be able to see it.
Right. All right. So once again, John, thank you for stopping by, and we look forward to your next visit. All right, Petty, play us to the next segment. All right, welcome to the topic of discussion of the week. So this week we are talking about Pokemon in honor of the recently and shocking announcement that Gen 9 is on the way this year.
It is actually on schedule for a new gen. It's just that it's 3 or 4 years for a gen. It's just that considering that we've gotten remakes and a side game that is kind of main game-ish in the last 6 months.
Something like that.
It seemed kind of full of. We're gonna have to wonder about where exactly Game Freak is keeping its time.
Probably in the basement being whipped or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm kind of hoping that the reason why they're able to do this is that this game shares a game engine with Legends Arceus.
Yeah,
or at least the environment engine or something.
Yeah, and that is indeed the main focus of this week's discussion, because Pokemon Violet and Pokemon Scarlet, they don't have a lot announced here. It
was literally just environment stuff, player character designs, and first stages of starters.
Yes. They don't even have the name of the region yet, though it is based off of Spain this time.
Yeah. Which is interesting, and has confused several people commenting on it from America already, because some people forget that Spain isn't Latin American or Mexico.
No.
Sometimes I hate people.
Oh. I think we all do that every now and again. But yeah, since there's not a lot of meat in those bones yet, we'll wait until a proper, say, Pokemon Direct that details what's the name of the world, some of the region Pokemon, some of those details. So, and plus we also have to get to Pokemon Legends Arceus here. Now it's come up on the show before, but that was in a upcoming sense of the word. And now the game's been out for, a month and a half?
Something like that.
Yeah. January 28th, 2002. So, it's been out for a measure of time. And thus, we, and by we, I mean the Golics here and Petty, will be able to talk about it. Because, when it comes to Pokemon stuff, I'm not all that well versed, especially in the particulars. It's just one of those series I never.
Time.
More look, the original games came out when I was in high school. I gave Pokemon Blue a try, and it bored me. It's just, not the thing that caught my interest. But that's neither here nor there. But in terms of Pokemon Legends Arceus. This is a very unusual release. Because it's hard, like, it's hard to call this a spin-off when it's Game Freak that's helming this, and also it's a prequel to all. This is
although only really relevantly a prequel to Diamond and Pearl.
Right.
Aside from you see people who look like ancestors of other people.
Funny how that works.
Yeah. Well, it's the closest thing we got to Pokemon Origins proper. Like, it doesn't go into the origins of Pokemon, but it goes into the origins of the first national Pokédex. Because you play as... I'm trying to remember what they called them. Like the Pokemon Watchers?
In this?
What's the organization in this thing?
Galactic Expedition Team?
No, in the time of Legend.
Yeah, Galactic Expedition Team.
Once again, this is what I'm talking about. I'm not going to be hip on the specific nomenclature of things, especially when we're dealing with, time measurements. Because, in a nice nod to how time works, things change over time. Like,
yes, and well, that's kind of the funny thing is that this, well, it's not accurate to say that it takes place in ancient times. It's like 1880, 1890. Late-ish Meiji era.
Right, but it's still like far, the first time.
Yeah, it's about 150 years before.
Yeah, and this gets into how the Pokemon human relationship got started.
Or at least in this region, because there are some implications and outright statements that people in other regions are less afraid of it.
I was about to say, you're not going to bring Conquest into this, are you?
Well, Conquest might not even take place in the past. It might just be some fucking island out in the middle of the goddamn Pacific Ocean. Or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, in this case, the big thing is this is taking place approximately during basically the Japanese colonization of Hokkaido.
Yep.
Which is kind of an interesting place to... There's been some commentary about, feels a little weird playing as the colonizers.
I mean, guess what? That's every fucking Pokemon region. Like, outside of the Aloha region, which is based off of Hawaii, which is a place that got colonized.
And even then, you're kind of... Even then, in Sun and Moon, the whole story is, quote-unquote, modernizing Aloha's Pokemon traditions, so...
Yeah, it's some unfortunate implications there. I suppose this might be... I'm not sure if it's more so, but it's like, if you're concerned about a region taking after France or the UK or the United States, I'm like, look, that's just because they're popular places with a lot of power and, money and all that stuff. Like, I'm not saying it wouldn't be nice to get, let's say, a Pokemon region of Kenya or Brazil in the mix.
Although that would be cool.
Yeah, I'm saying those would be interesting places to explore, but it's not a specific statement on colonization that they pick France as a region or Spain.
Right.
No, it's more stuff that goes on in the games that could be a commentary. Let's keep that in mind.
They kind of try to treat it delicately, and obviously you're not really considered to be the bad guy. But
It's also
there's certainly a little bit of friction between the native population and the your people,
which is
and of
better
course,
than how that.
And of course, by
in the
your people, I
past.
mean the people you join, because you're not from here either. You're from the modern day in question mark.
Mm-hmm.
Because Arceus feels like playing the isekai game.
I suppose. Like,
no, literally, the first thing you wake up is you're staring in the light, and it's literally Arceus saying, "Hi, I'm Arceus. I'm sending you to a world with Pokemon. Give me your phone."
Okay, then. Anyway, I think so. Not surprisingly, Arceus has done exceedingly well, selling 6.5 million copies in its first week of release because it's a goddamn Pokemon game.
Yeah.
And not just a Pokemon game. I would say it's a mainline Pokemon game. Like,
pretty much. It's not a 2-version thing, but they're clearly.
Yeah. It's not fucking Pokemon Dash or Pokemon Troisy or, Pokemon.
Although one of the biggest complaints from a lot of long-term Pokemon fans that I've seen, the ones that didn't like this game often didn't like it because it doesn't have very much battling in it.
Look, this is clearly Game Freak trying to do something new. And that seems to be a very high-pitched rallying cry from the fan base, if nothing else. Like, there was a lot of fucking shrieking over Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield's visuals and lack of, bump in fidelity, let's say. And make no mistake,
that same complaints here.
Yeah, that's come up here as well. Though that's actually, I think, in the actual visual fidelity more than anything else, because at the very least, it comes across as a much more modern game than Sword and Shield. Like, I'll be honest, Sword and Shield, they were basically 3DS games.
Yeah, this game, for example, Sword and Shield only let you control the camera in the wild area. This gives you camera control everywhere.
Yeah, like, I've seen a lot of comparisons to Breath of the Wild. And it definitely has, not just like the camera dynamic in the open world, but also like the specific region looks a lot like Breath of the Wild. I'm sure there was some artistic influence because, believe it or not, Breath of the Wild is going on 5 years.
Yep.
The time it flows. So it's certainly been enough time for things to take inspiration from. Even something like Pokemon. If I'm recalling correctly, like, the other thing here is the battles are a lot more dynamic, I want to say.
Sort of. But, I mean, so first off, you don't have to fight every Pokemon to catch them. A lot of them you can just peg with Pokeballs. And there aren't very many trainer battles, but when you do get in a fight with either a trainer or a wild Pokemon that you choose to battle or that is too aggressive for you to just be able to peg with a ball, the battle thing, it uses a, I don't know what the terminology for this kind of battle thing is, but it's not a strictly turn-based thing. There are based on your moves, it's possible if a Pokemon is a lot faster to just get more than one action in a row.
It's honestly close to a Digimon story turn-based battle style.
Yeah, and other games use that. I think Final Fantasy X used something like that.
I just find it hilarious. Pokemon's basically ripping off Digimon mechanic, and that fills me with so much glee.
But yeah, and then you also get after a few levels after you learn a move or after you use a special item at a helpful NPC, you can use a move in Agile style or strong style, which has a chance. Agile style is less powerful
but
and
faster.
less accurate, but gives you a pretty significant chance of being able to go twice in a row sometime soon. And strong style is stronger and more accurate, but gives a significant chance for your opponent to get to go 2 times in a row, which is rough sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's unsurprising considering the region that there are not many battles against trainers, since there aren't many trainers.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and also you can during battles generally move around freely and look at the battle from different sides, although this doesn't have much of an effect.
I suppose other innovations, for lack of a better word, are you get to ride Pokemon as mounts.
Which has been done before, but yeah.
But it's more in a, explore the world sense.
Yeah, it's more that there's a much bigger area for you to ride them around. It's not entirely one big interconnected world, but it is divided into a few chunks, and within those chunks, they're very open-ended.
Mm-hmm. And also, wild Pokemon can actually hurt you.
Yes, while you're running from them, and for the big ones, this is a big deal. For the alpha Pokemon and noble Pokemon, it's a big deal. But for even regular ones that are just kind of aggressive, if you don't throw out a Pokemon in battle, you'll be dodging around from their moves until you either catch them, get far enough away that they stop aggroing, or enter a battle.
And what are the alpha and noble Pokemon?
Alpha Pokemon. Okay, so one of the interesting things in this game is that while it's always been a thing that Pokemon can have slightly varying sizes, in this game they actually reflect that in what they look like. And alpha Pokemon are extra large. Most of them are set encounters in a certain area, which is somewhat reminiscent of Sword and Shield. They have big glowing red eyes, which gets a little awkward for the few Pokemon that don't have eyes, like Zubat. It's possible to get into a fight with a alpha Zubat and not know it because they don't have red eyes to glow. Alphas are always aggressive and harder to catch, and they're higher level than everything around them, but they're always like special maximum size and often come with special moves. Actually, the Alpha B barrel isn't really very aggressive, but it's a B barrel. So anyway, so they're just that. And then the noble Pokemon are the native tribes in the area, the Diamond Clan and Pearl Clan, have people who are wardens who each take care of a particular Pokemon in a particular area, and they're responsible for like feeding it and keeping it happy, treating it basically as a probably Kamui, I guess, as the local spirit of the area. Interestingly, Sinnoh here, which does sound like the Japanese word for like God King or whatever, is like both the Diamond and Pearl clans worship Almighty Sinnoh, but they mean different things by it. The Diamond Clan means the one that does time, which is Dialga, and the Pearl Clan means the one that does space, which is Palkia. And obviously Arceus is like the real one. But anyway, they have wardens who watch over these Pokemon, and then a lot of them get angry, and due to phenomenons that are going on around here, due to and around you falling from the sky through a dimensional portal that's visible over Mount Coronet.
Insert joke about sky butthole here.
It literally starts out with the wake up, you've just fallen from the sky from the professor, who is a totally derpy guy. But, like, in a good way, mostly. And the NPCs are kind of... a lot of the NPCs are kind of unsure towards you because you're, an outsider, and this is a new settlement that kind of has issues with Pokemon. Let's see, I think I got distracted in there. Did I answer the question?
I believe you have.
Okay.
Yeah. So are there different kind of Pokeballs in this one?
There are, and there are... So the Pokeballs, as they are in Johto at presumably this time and before, allegedly they're a recent invention. I'm not sure how much of that is regional. People do have partner Pokemon in other regions, but they're just like on a leash or in a kennel or whatever. Which obviously depends on the size of the Pokemon in question, but yeah. So they're made from apricorns and a thing called Tumblestone, which you get by having your Pokemon break rocks and shake stuff off trees. And you actually get to make them yourself. Apparently, it's not hard to make regular Pokeballs. But you have the normal 3 regular Pokeballs, Pokeball, Great Ball, and Master Ball. A series of Heavy Balls, which are like the Apricorn Heavy Ball from previous games. But instead of working on heavy Pokemon, they work best if you surprise a Pokemon with them, I guess. But they also have, like, no fucking range. And then there are normal, great, and ultra versions of that, but I forget what they're called. I know the last one is the, like, ultra heavyweight ball. And then there are the actual new balls, which are the Feather Ball, Wing Ball and Jet Ball, which fly much further and straighter, which is useful for catching flying Pokemon, which do not necessarily feel obliged to come down to your level so you can fight them normally. And they're neat. They have a blue wing design. Let's see, Heavy Ball, Leaden Ball, Gigaton Ball, and Feather Ball, Wing Ball, Jet Ball, yes. And they're all in the this neat handcrafted style that the Voltorb of the region resembles, with a little thing on the top that shoots out a firework when they successfully catch, and also, hilariously, turns into a goddamn rocket when you're trading. There's also this game's version of the Master Ball, which is an origin ball and is apparently made from the red chain.
The red chain?
The red chain is a thing from Diamond and Pearl. It's made using either literally or figuratively the stones in Uxie Azelf and Mesprit's foreheads to bind a Pokemon. Originally, the red chain was created by Cyrus so that he could control the box legendary of that version, or in Platinum, both of them. Because apparently when you catch a Pokemon in a Pokeball, if it's a really powerful Pokemon, it gets a little bit weaker and can't use its full godly power. So it was the equivalent of like trying to leash them so that they could use their full power without going out of control. It obviously didn't work. But in this one, they make that red crystal stuff into a Pokeball. and is used to catch. This one doesn't come in 2 versions, but you do still at one point have to decide whether you're going to work with the Pearl Clan or the Diamond Clan for a mission or a few missions, and that. Sorry, I haven't gotten that far in the game because this is a game where it's very easy to just hang out in the wild and chuck Pokeballs at things for fun for a long time.
Hang on, ooh, look, it's shiny.
Now, I'm not as bad as some people because in this game, instead of getting badges by like beating gym leaders, in this game when you beat the wardens, is generally you get access to new ride Pokemon at some point around there. But in this game, your level of Pokemon that will obey you increases just from catching stuff and filling in your Pokedex. So some people have gotten all the way to 10 stars before like actually starting the main game proper. So yeah, I'm not that bad. But yes, filling out the Pokedex in this, so Oak's Pokedex that he invented was presumably like the first electronic one for Kanto or whatever. In Japanese, Pokédex is a lot less of a like trademarkable term. It's just Pokemon Picture Dictionary. So in this one, it's just literally a handwritten, apparently, guide to Pokemon stuff. So you get a photograph, and you can learn what their favorite foods are and the range of their sizes and stuff. However, you don't get all of that just by catching it once. For each Pokemon, after you catch the first one, you get a list of their research tasks. And you have to get at least 10 points worth of research tasks, and then they're considered complete. And also, if you get 100% of their research tasks, which is usually like way more than 10 levels, I think it increases their chances of finding shiny versions of that Pokemon in the wild, because that's still a thing.
Everybody loves shinies.
But yeah, there's always, one of the things is always the number caught. And that's, I think, always worth double. So, like, you get 2 points for research level for catching one of them, and, like, another 2 points for getting to, like, 3. Again, it depends. The actual numbers vary. But I think there's always 5 levels of that, except for Pokemon you can only find once. Then for a lot of them, there's the number you've defeated, or the number that you've caught that fit a certain description, such as being above a certain size, or being alpha, or the number you've evolved. And then also there are some battle-related ones, like usually related to the number of times you've seen them use a certain move, or use a swift move. Which is kind of notable because some of the new Pokemon are... I mean, mostly it's the Wardens and the Ride Pokemon are the new Pokemon, which are mostly evolutions of previous Pokemon that are newly being revealed. Yeah, I think they're all evolutions and not... I could be wrong. And not actually... Well, no, a couple of them are new yeah, I don't think any of them are new first form Pokemon. Just additions to existing families. And again, there are some regional forms too.
Mm-hmm.
And then later in the game, not that far either, even, dimensional disturbances start appearing that allow you to catch Pokemon that are mostly in the modern Sinnoh Pokédex, which explains how you can get things like Porygon in this game, which Porygon seems to disturb the professor somewhat.
I wonder why.
It does not eat or breathe or other science facts. So yeah, overall, I think the biggest thing is that it's just the gameplay flow in this is a lot different, since it's for a lot of people, a Pokemon game is about assembling your team and winning battles with it. And this game encourages you to catch a lot of things outside of what you would use for a team, and a lot of them aren't really. There isn't a lot of battling to do, you know. There are literally on your count on your fingers the number of characters in this game, I think, that have teams of more than 2 Pokemon, and of those, a few of them are only post game.
Nifty.
Anyway, I suppose it's a good time to wrap this discussion up.
Yeah, sorry, I know I'm kind of rambling, but I'm not sure exactly what else to say.
Well, I mean, then I suppose all that needs to be said has been said.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll end the discussion here, since it is getting close to check-in time for the other show.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so yeah, that'll about do it for this installment of Fragments of Silicon. The week ahead. So we do have a Friday show this week, first of the season, as we'll be welcoming Ross Bierley of Ghostlight Games. He was a fairly, frequent fixture of the program a few years ago. And he returns to our shores to talk about the first Ghostlight game that they've actually published in a few years, Mary Skelter 2, which I think might have been literally the last new title. I think the last title I got a press release from them previous to this was the Switch port of Cubix HD, which we had already covered at that point. So, anyway, I'm looking forward to it. It's been a while since we had Ross. It'll be good to reconnect. And coming up on the Sunday reviews, we'll be having reviews of The Pepper Prince, 6 Souls, 2 Parsecs from Earth, and Watcher Chronicles. So look forward to those, and be sure to join us for MSP happening. Well, presumably, we say the top of the hour, but let's be honest, it's going to be more like 11:15. Anyway, until then, I shall wish you good gaming.